Hey everyone! We are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content and it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button right now as we proceed. Subscribe to this channel right now because what is happening in California right now is not a tennis story. It is a cultural event of a scale that the Indian Wells Tennis Garden has genuinely never encountered before, and the people running one of the most prestigious tournaments on the WTA calendar are reportedly stunned by what the data is telling them. Eala is in the main draw of the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells. Not through qualifying. Not through a wild card invitation extended because tournament directors wanted the crowd she brings. Through her ranking, world number 31, earned by climbing from 137 to 31 in approximately 12 months through results that made the tennis world stop what it was doing and pay attention. And the Filipino community in California, the largest Filipino diaspora in the United States, has been waiting for exactly this moment with the kind of organized, passionate, coordinated energy that is now showing up in ticket sales, section bookings, and secondary market prices that have completely inverted the normal commercial logic of professional tennis. Entire stadium sections are being reserved by community groups. Tickets for sessions when Eala is expected to play are selling for double face value on the secondary market. Fan clubs from Los Angeles to San Diego to Daly City are mobilizing with the specific, deliberate intention of creating the same wall of sound that turned Dubai into a Filipino celebration and had Coco Gauff addressing the stands after her quarterfinal victory to thank the crowd personally. California has not seen anything like this. The fifth Grand Slam is about to become something entirely different from what it has ever been before. Let us establish the full picture of what Indian Wells actually is before we talk about what Eala's arrival means for it, because the significance of this moment scales directly with the understanding of the stage she is walking onto. The BNP Paribas Open is called the fifth Grand Slam for reasons that are earned rather than merely claimed. The prize pool for 2026 exceeds $9 million. The field reads like a comprehensive directory of the sport's current elite: Aryna Sabalenka at world number 1, Iga Swiatek, Jessica Pegula, Coco Gauff, Mira Andreeva, the defending champion. Every major name in women's tennis is present, competing on courts that play differently than anywhere else on the tour, the dry desert air of the California desert affecting ball flight in ways that reward players who have prepared specifically for the conditions rather than simply showing up and hoping their baseline game translates. The players who perform well at Indian Wells tend to be the players who have done the preparation work that the environment demands. They tend to be the players who arrived early, acclimatized properly, and understood what the specific challenges of this particular tournament require before the first ball was struck in competition. And Eala, in the detail that tells you everything about how she approaches big tournaments, arrived in the United States 2 weeks early specifically to give herself the preparation runway that the conditions demand. She did not fly in from Dubai and head straight to the desert. She planned her arrival, she built in acclimatization time, and she stopped in Beaverton, Oregon first for a visit that set the psychological tone for everything that follows. The Nike World Headquarters visit is the chapter of this story that deserves its full weight rather than a footnote treatment, because what happened in Oregon speaks directly to where Eala's career and her cultural significance currently sit in the eyes of one of the most analytically rigorous brand institutions in the history of professional sport. Her portraits were displayed in the famous Nike Tunnel, the hallway at global headquarters where the brand displays the athletes it considers genuinely transformational rather than merely successful. One portrait captured the image that went viral after her Miami Open semifinal result. Both hands on her face, the raw and unfiltered emotion of someone who had just done something that exceeded their own expectations in the most public possible way. The caption Nike chose for that portrait was not a standard endorsement line or a marketing tagline. It was 3 words chosen with the specific care that an organization applies when it understands that it is documenting something historically significant. History in full bloom. And then, alongside that portrait, a second image, Eala taking a selfie with Filipino fans. A fan photo. At Nike World Headquarters. On the wall of the tunnel where the brand's most important athletes are represented. Nike did not put that image there accidentally or sentimentally. They put it there because they understand, with the analytical precision that has made them the most successful athletic brand in history, that the Eala story is not primarily about a tennis player achieving individual excellence. It is about a community finding itself represented at the highest level of international sport and responding with the kind of authentic, economically significant, commercially powerful passion that marketing departments spend hundreds of millions of dollars trying to manufacture and almost never successfully do. The fan photo on the wall is Nike saying, "We know what we bought. We bought the movement, not just the athlete." And the movement is coming to Indian Wells. The scale of the Filipino community presence being organized for Indian Wells needs specific context to be fully appreciated, because California is not Dubai and it is not Melbourne in terms of what the Filipino diaspora can mobilize at short notice. California is home to the largest concentration of Filipino Americans in the United States, a community that is established, organized, deeply connected internally, and has been building in anticipation since Eala's Miami run last year confirmed that she was genuinely capable of competing with and beating the best players in the world at the highest level available. These are not fans who booked last-minute flights from the Philippines and arrived with flags and hope. These are people who live in Los Angeles and San Diego and Daly City who have been watching Eala's entire trajectory from the beginning and who have been waiting for the specific moment when she competed in their backyard. Fan clubs have been organizing for weeks. Group bookings are covering entire stadium sections. The secondary ticket market for her matches has already responded with price increases that the tournament's commercial infrastructure was not positioned to anticipate because nothing in their historical data prepared them for a world number 31 player generating this level of localized market demand. Tournament directors are reportedly shocked. They should not be surprised because the data has been pointing here since Dubai and Melbourne and Miami. But the shock is understandable because professional tennis has simply never had a player at this ranking generating this scale of community mobilization in a single market. The commercial logic of professional tennis has always assumed that ticket demand correlates primarily with ranking. Eala is breaking that assumption in real time, and the tournament's revenue projections are going to look completely different by the time the draw concludes. The competitive landscape Eala walks into at Indian Wells is genuinely formidable in ways that require honest acknowledgement rather than pure excitement, because the draw at the 5th Grand Slam includes the best players in the world and several of them are peaking at exactly the wrong time for anyone hoping to see a straightforward path to the later rounds. Sabalenka at world number 1 is one of the most physically imposing and technically complete players the women's game has produced in years. Swiatek's clay court dominance is well documented, but her hard court form has been strong enough to make her a legitimate threat on any surface. Andreeva is defending a title on courts where her aggressive baseline game has already proven to be ideally suited. Pegula is coming off the Dubai title, carrying the specific confidence that recent tournament victories generate. Goff is a genuine Grand Slam champion who has demonstrated the ability to perform in exactly the kind of electric, crowd-influenced atmospheres that Eala's matches generate. The draw is not kind in the sense of offering obvious pathways. But the conversation around Eala at Indian Wells is not primarily about pathway management and favorable bracket analysis. It is about what happens across 2 weeks when a player with her form, her fan base, her preparation, and her psychological momentum starts moving through rounds, and each successive opponent has to walk onto a court where thousands of Filipino fans have transformed the atmosphere into something that no other player in this draw generates. The competitive home court advantage that Eala's crowd creates is real and documented. Coco Gauff went on record after Dubai saying she was pretending the crowd chanting Eala's name was chanting her own name just to use the energy. That is the psychological environment every opponent faces when they play Eala. In California, where the community is not traveling fans but residents who can arrive rested and loud and organized, that environment is going to be more intense than anything the tournament has previously hosted. The journey that brought Eala to this specific moment at Indian Wells started in a way that makes the arrival more meaningful, not less. Last year at Miami, she came through qualifying, meaning she played multiple matches before the main draw even began, accumulating fatigue and pressure that the direct entry players around her were not carrying. She beat Ostapenko, Keys, and Swiatek anyway, which remains one of the most remarkable runs any player has produced at a WTA 1000 event in recent memory. This year at Indian Wells, she arrives fresh, having had 2 weeks of recovery following Dubai, having visited Nike headquarters for a psychological charge that training sessions cannot replicate, and having climbed to a ranking that puts her in seeded territory rather than in the bracket position of a player hoping to survive the early rounds. The structural advantage of arriving at a major tournament rested rather than already tested is not a minor detail. It is the kind of marginal difference that determines whether a player who reaches the quarterfinals once reaches the semifinals or the final the next time. Kim Clijsters observed that Eala has to deal with the life of being like Michael Jordan in the Philippines. In California, she is about to discover what it feels like to have that energy transferred to American soil, amplified by the specific organizational capacity of an established diaspora that has been planning this moment for months. The tournament opens on March 4th. The sections are booked. The community is ready. And when Eala walks onto those purple courts in the California desert for her first main draw match at a tournament she has never played before, she will do it with Nike's full confidence on the wall behind her, a career-high ranking that earned her direct entry, and the most organized, most passionate, most prepared fan base that the Indian Wells Tennis Garden has ever attempted to accommodate. The 5th Grand Slam is about to experience something it has no historical precedent for. Every opponent who has to play Eala in front of that crowd will understand exactly what Goff understood in Dubai. Playing against Alex Eala is one thing. Playing against Alex Eala and the entire California Filipino community simultaneously is something else entirely. California does not know what is coming. It is about to find out. Drop every prediction you have in the comments right now. Does Eala reach the Indian Wells semifinals? And does the Filipino crowd in California become the loudest fan base this tournament has ever seen? How far does she go and which opponent do you most want to see her face in the later rounds? Get everything into the comments immediately. Smash that like button to push this story to every Filipino tennis fan who needs to see it before the tournament begins. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss a single match update as Indian Wells unfolds, and share this video everywhere because this is the most exciting 2 weeks in women's tennis this year and it is starting right now. History in full bloom. Laban Alex. California is not ready.